Hello fellow sorcerers, I have been playing Firebolt build since the start of the seasons together with Ice Spike and Frozen Orb. This is my most favorite build. There is a lot of optimization required for this build compared to others, and I have learned a lot as Firebolt is damage over time skill like Firewall, which I don't play a lot in the past. In my opinion, Firebolt is S tier not just for Sorcerer but far superior compared to the skills of other class. It has great single target boss damage, highest pig clear at tier 150, high mobility and also great AoE farming capability in the open world with some modification. Nevertheless, the community has split opinion on this build due to the perception that it needs very expensive cooldown reduction greater affix gear to pull it off. I think this misperception was due to the many watch the streamer showcase his build with expensive greater affix gears and his comment about the gold he spent and the tedious effort to masterwork them. The fact is, Infinite Flameshield can be achieved without greater affix cooldown gear if you play the game at casual level at pit level around tier 100, fighting tier 200 tormented boss and also Uber Lilith. You only need the greater affix cooldown gear when you try to attempt higher pit above tier 110. Which need to use Raiment of Infinite to pull the monster together for better clear speed, as the monster HP is absurd at this level. With Raiment pulling mobs closely together, Firebolt can focus all 3 fire beams at the same time with the maximum 210% damage from the Flameweaver glove. As you can see in the video, my Flameshield already reached 100% uptime with only 44% cooldown reduction. My gear is average without any greater affix on cooldown reduction. I just masterwork my Shakro cooldown twice and also use a normal tall Rasha ring with max cooldown and masterwork it twice on the cooldown reduction. It is easily achievable as Unique only has 4 affixes compared to 5 in Legendary gear. You just need to farm sufficient Netheron, then convert them to Ingolith and Obducite. Most of the masterwork is done with the low-cost Obducite, as you just need to refresh the masterworking until it hits cooldown reduction at the 4 tiers. After that you try to hit the same affix with masterwork at level 8. If it does not hit the cooldown reduction, then refresh it again. Try to avoid hit the affix at level 12, which is the most expensive, as Netheron will be used at this tier. Nevertheless, if you have too much material to burn, no harm to try to get a triple masterwork on cooldown reduction. Let me explain a bit of the mechanic of Firebolt. It has 2 damage part. The first one is the direct damage, which works like other core skill like Frozen Orb. The second part is the fire damage overtime. It is important to understand this point, as the fire damage overtime is the main damage for this build. Very often we use the Firebolt enchantment to further boost the damage over time. So you need to be carefully in choosing the Paragon board and Legendary aspect, which buff damage over time only, not the direct damage. That's the reason in this build we don't use Flamefeeder Paragon Gly, Searing Heat Legendary node and Adaptability aspect, which all buff direct damage only. The most important multiplier for Firebolt is the Burning Instinct Legendary node, which scale with intelligent and critical strike damage. Nevertheless, it is better to put more damage overtime in your gear affix and tempering, as it scale better than critical strike. Let's walk through my gears. I have Shakro with 2 times cooldown reduction masterworked. On chest, always ensure you have greater affix on intelligent. This is our main damage multiplier, as the Burning Instinct Legendary node scale with intelligent and critical strike damage. Flameshield skill ranks on chest. You need at least the +3 version. Greater affix is not necessary on this affix, but you need greater affix on intelligent for the damage boost. For tempering affix, get the Flameshield duration, which is easy as there are only 3 choices on the Pyromancy Endurance tempering manual. Another important tempering affix is the Lucky Hit Chance to Freeze Underworldly Fortunate manual. This important as we are going to use the Hort Frost node, which gives us 18% multiplicative damage to frozen enemy. There is 1 in 4 chance to get this affix, so it's a bit difficult, especially if you have used up most of the temper charges for Flameshield duration. If you are not able to get chance to freeze on your chest, try the pants and also boots. If you still not able to get the freeze affix on chest, pants and boots, just wait temper and other boots. As it is easier to have this affix on boots than chest or pants, as you do not need to temper Flameshield duration on boots. This gives you more temper charge to hit the right affix. On masterworking for chest, try to hit the Flameshield rank. The second masterwork you should target Flameshield rank again or Flameshield duration. Refresh it if you miss one of them, as the material is not expensive at this stage. Also, you have 2 out of 5 chance to get the required affix. On the Legendary aspect, I use Binding Embers, which will immobilize enemy when you pass through them. This gives you more crowd control options and increase your damage. It also helps your clear speed in pit, as you can quickly move through mobs to reposition yourself so the Firebolt can damage more enemies. On the Flameweaver unique glove, try to get a good roll on attack speed affix, also at least 66% damage on the aspect. As this build requires you to hit 100% attack speed, so the hectic aspect will keep your Flameshield permanently on. You can see in the video, I have already hit the maximum 100% attack speed cap with the advantage elixir. One thing you need to be aware that there is 2 attack speed cap which can go up to 100%. You can refer to this table, just try not put more attack speed when it is already at 100%. Only the attack speed on the cap 1 table will contribute to the percentage shown on your character stat. Anything on cap 2 table includes rapid, accelerate and pyromancy attack speed is hidden. But you can feel your cooldown reduction is improved with rapid aspect and accelerate aspect. For the pyromancy attack speed, it is listed on cap 2 by the community, but from my testing it seems not contribute to the hectic charge. I hope you guys can test this out and share with me result. Let's back to the gear. On the pant, Firebolt skill points is must. Pick the pant with greater affix on intelligent or greater affix on Firebolt skill. Legendary aspect is hectic, which is the core of this build to reduce the cooldown of Flameshield. On boots, ensure it has the attack reduce evade cooldown implied affix. This will increase your mobility as Firebolt attacks extremely fast. It gives you good uptime with evade teleport enchantment. Greater affix on intelligent is another required affix for boots. You can temper the boots with chance to freeze if you are missing this on chest or pants. Otherwise any other crowd control affix is fine. The other preferred tempering is evade cooldown reduction, but this is less important than chance to freeze. For legendary aspect, we use concussive strike, which gives 20% damage against stagger boss. It can also trigger on regular monsters. Firebolt has high chance to trigger lucky hit as it attacks fast and stacks a lot of damage over time on the target. On the weapon, I use wand as it has implicit lucky hit chance. Lucky hit is useful for this build and crowd control the enemy and also apply vulnerability, which I will cover later. Greater affix on intelligent is the prerequisite. The next affix should be damage over time. On tempering, chance of Firebolt cast twice is a must. For the second tempering, try to get pyromancy attack speed. It is okay if you get fire damage over time. Firebolt damage scale with damage over time. Legendary aspect, I am using shredding blade. On focus cooldown reduction affix max roll is required. You can get this via enchantment, but it will be quite costly to hit the max roll. Tempering affix is same as wand. Legendary aspect, I use rapid as attack speed is the core of this build. If you have a better cooldown reduction gear, you can change this to intercom for more damage. For amulet, try to get the maximum cooldown reduction with enchantment and also the maximum attack speed. Tempering affix on Flameshield duration and pyromancy attack speed. On the tall Rasha Rain, you need to get a max roll cooldown reduction. It is okay if the damage is not at the maximum 15%. Masterwork the cooldown reduction twice as it is cheaper to do it on unique. On another rain, try to get the greater affix on attack speed. It is quite common. Masterwork the attack speed at least once on this affix. Another affix on the rain is critical strike damage, and it increase your damage with burning instinct legendary node. The final affix is the most important one, which is the lucky hit chance to apply vulnerability. You need this as you can't use other skill to apply vulnerability. Ice Blade, Lightning Spear and Frost Nova has cooldown which will mess up your hectic cooldown on Flameshield. If you do not want to use this vulnerability affix, you can put Frosty Stride on one of your armor. But you need to keep your HP below 50%, which is tedious as every time you are killed you lost the injured status. The legendary aspect I use is Stormzool. Moving to the skill tree and Paragon board, I will be very brief and highlight the most important part. The detail you can find in my build planner I included on the description section. Start with skill tree, maximum skill points on Firebolt and select Glinting Firebolt. Maximum skill points on Flameshield and select Mystical Flameshield. Select Mystical Teleport, which give you 500% damage on teleport, but the main purpose is to get cracking energy for the charge Paragon glyph, which I will cover later. 3 points on Icy Veil for maximum barrier as your Flameshield duration strangely longer than your barrier. You only need barrier if you are using the Stormwell aspect. You can skip this if you don't use any barrier related aspect. I put 3 points on Cold Front, but this is optional. I just have no other place to put my skill points. Cold Front will let you freeze the enemy faster. Put maximum points on Inner Flame and all passive nodes on the skill tree. Select Enhanced Firewall and Mage Firewall. 1 point at Permanent Frost to unlock Horde Frost. Put 3 skill points on this node for 15% damage on frozen enemy. 1 point at Fiery Surge. 3 points at both Soulfire and Endless Pyre. Select Combustion as passive, which give you 20% multiplicative damage. If you want to play the meta Shatter build, change this to Shatter. Take out 3 skill points from Cold Front. Select Fireball and Greater Fireball, which will enhance your damage during Shatter. Change the Firebolt enchantment to Fireball. The reason of using Greater Fireball is due to the burning damage will not apply during Shatter explosion. Therefore you use Greater Fireball to apply the 10% burning damage before the Shatter happen. But I do not recommend this build during your early stage when you do not have greater effects on cooldown reduction, as casting Fireball will reduce your hectic charge and get you killed in the process. In addition, Shatter work best with Raiment to pull the creeps closer. For that you will need to invest in the expensive gear with greater affix on cooldown reduction. When you progress further, you may consider switch to Raiment if you manage to acquire the required gear. There is also a misconception among the community that using Shatter you need tedious fishing on the Shaman boss. It is not required when you play at lower level pit like tier 110. The difference between Shatter and Combustion is 20% damage lost. But with Shatter you can clear the creeps faster, which make up for the extra time to kill the random boss with 20% less damage. Fishing for Shaman boss is only required when the monster HP become unreasonably high. At that point only the Shatter can break through their trillions HP barrier. This is really a bad game design from Blizzard. On Paragon board, we start with the standard Elementalist, then move on to Destruction. Put as many points around this glyph as Burning Instinct scale with critical strike damage. Moving down a bit is the most important color rare node, which gives you attack speed. With this you will be able to achieve the 100% attack speed bonus with Elixir. This allow you to has permanent Flameshield uptime without expensive gear. This is my secret sauce of permanent Flameshield build. I also like to pick some lucky hit chance to execute injured non-elites, which helps to kill the mobs at higher pit tier as they have a lot HP. Which means the mobs will stay injured for a long time. With the high lucky hit chance with Firebolt this will be very handy to clear some of the unlucky one. The next is Charge Glyph, which give you 15% multiplicative damage. It requires Mystical Teleport for cracking energy. Nevertheless, this is clunky to use, especially when you are fighting the boss, as the cracking energy may not drop on your feet and you are not afford to move around to collect them. Blizzard should change this so we can automatically pick up cracking energy around us. The reason I am using Charge Glyph is we are running out of the offensive glyph. Initially I used Flame Feeder until later found that it only boosts the direct damage, but Firebolt is damage over time skill. Moving right is Frigid. Try to get the maximum 30% Frigid Fate as possible. Next is the Exploit. You can consider put more points in Dexterity to increase your total vulnerable damage. Next is the Tactician Glyph. Grab the non-physical damage to increase the Frigid Fate bonus. Follow by Pyromaniac Glyph. Grab the critical strike damage nodes for the Burning Instinct bonus. The last glyph is the Enchanter, which gives us Frigid Fate bonus. Put extra points on Intelligent nodes if your Frigid Fate is below 30%. Moving right there is Attack Speed node. This part is optional, depends on your total attack speed bonus you are already having. Only take this node if your total attack speed bonus is below 100% after use the Advantage Elixir. We come to the part how to play the content effectively with Firebolt. If you do not have good Flameshield uptime, it is easier to use this build on Tormented Boss and Uber Lilith, as you can just focus on activate Flameshield before its duration is ended. It is more difficult in Pit because it has a timer. You do not want to stand static spamming Firebolt to charge your hectic. You have to move a lot to look for the large group of mobs for efficient clearly. As Firebolt has very narrow damage path, it works best by move through the large group of mobs and turn back to shoot them. All this movement and reposition make you spend less time in charging your hectic and you will not have 100% Flameshield uptime. What the player usually do is when your Flameshield is almost expired but cooldown is not available yet, TP away from the mobs and then press Flameshield when it is available. Sometimes this will get you killed if your timing was not good or the server is lag. Or some mobs has projectile or ground effect follow you after you TP away. But most time you will be fine. One part of this build is you have to constantly spam the Firebolt button. If you have a game mouse with macro like Logitech G502 Hero, you can set this to auto fire. In my setting I put basic skill on autofire and I use another macro which one button to trigger evade TP, cast Flameshield and firewall. I play this build with only press one button once in a while with the macros. One thing you need to practice with the autofire is you will not be able to activate Shrine and enter the portal. Therefore you need to practice turning off the autofire and switch to manual fire when picking the Shrine. It is fine if you don't use macro, and you can even play this with controller. The downside of controller is the evade TP is shorter, which still not fixed by Blizzard in the Season 4 patch when they fix the shorter distance issue with teleport. If you want to use this build to farm Helltide, you can take out some points in Cold Front and Lucky Hit Chance and put them into the Fireball skill. Select Destructive Fireball and replace the Firebolt enchantment with Fireball. Then you will have the best farming build in the game. As you can see, I deleted entire screen of the mobs quickly. Kill the Blood Maiden when she went down. You can also farm the Hellfire Tower easily with your Flameshield. The reason Firebolt is superior in farming because Fireball enchant is greatest tool in killing large group of trash mobs. The high damage from Firebolt make the mobs explode faster and trigger the chain reaction of Fireball explosion on the entire screen. The fast attack speed of Firebolt also allows you to move quickly on the map with evade, and the hectic will bring down the TP cooldown for fast travel. This works best with the introduction of the pet which help you collect cinders far away. With this build you no longer need to travel with horse, so you can collect more cinders by attacking mobs on the ground. The last part of this guide is gear progression. As the Firebolt has a very narrow damage path, it works best in pit if you use raiment pull the mobs together. This also works best with Shatter by group many of mobs and destroy them in one big blast. As the Flameshield skill rank and Flameshield duration tempering is on your chest, swap it with raiment is going to be very challenging. This need to be compensate with higher cooldown reduction and requires greater affix on amulet and focus. This is where the misconception on this build come from, as many assume you need 10 billions gold or tedious farming to get the greater affix cooldown gear. The reality is it is quite affordable if you just focus on the amulet and offhand. It cost me 500 million each. Additionally, I acquired the raiment with greater affix on glass cannon, but this is optional as you can still get +3 glass cannon with double masterworking. You can see I didn't go up to the maximum +4 glass cannon as I need to hit the same affix 3 times, which will cost me a lot of material. One gear to avoid is the greater affix tall Rasha ring, as it will cost you billions. Nevertheless, in the recent patch Varshan has chance to drop greater affix tall Rasha ring. Maybe you can try your luck there. As you can't trade Shakro, many streamer use the Iron Wolf quest to farm sparks and craft the greater affix cooldown Shakro. As I show you in this video, you just need to have the greater affix on both amulet and focus and masterwork the affix twice. You are able to achieve permanent Flameshield with raiment, which helps your progress in higher pit levels. That's all of my Firebolt Sorcerer build. Build planner is available in the description section. I have included video of pit 100 clearing without raiment just to show you how I approach the fight. The clear speed is not fast without raiment. You can skip it if you are just interested in the build. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribe to receive future update of Diablo 4 content. Have a nice day.